Hello, everyone, and welcome to the lecture on data handling and privacy. First, let's start off by understanding sensitive information. First point: personal and confidential information. I'll give for example, you could have employee details like their SIN numbers, and guarding this information it can help ensure that the company maintains employee trust and ensures compliance with privacy standards. Another example you could have is, for example, company strategies, like their marketing plans. You know, safeguarding this information, it's vital to safeguarding your organization's competitive edge. All right. All right. Second point, recognizing the importance of data classification. Let me give you three examples of how you might classify data. You could have public information, like just general product descriptions. This classification, by having this classification, you could ensure that this information is available to a wider audience without compromising the more sensitive information. You could have internal information like internal communication memos, employee manuals. This classification it limits the information to only authorized personnel and ensures that company operations continue smoothly and securely. And then you could have the really sensitive information like financial reports, upcoming product designs. Properly classifying this highly sensitive data ensures that the information is restricted to only a very select group without minimizing the risk, while minimizing the risk of unauthorized exposure. And last point, the role of data sensitivity in decision making. For example, imagine you're deciding whether to share financial projections with external partners. And knowing the sensitivity of this data including potential risks and benefits, it guides you in making an informed decision. It's basically akin to weighing the pros and cons. You carefully consider the advantages of collaboration while also considering the risks of exposing critical financial information. Here's an example of how you might use data classification to on informed decision making. Imagine your company is planning a new marketing campaign, and you have customer data with varying degrees of sensitivity. You could have highly sensitive data like their personal info. You could have less sensitive data like publicly available information about your products. Now, now think about these data categories as pieces on a chessboard. Understanding the sensitivity of this data, it helps you tailor your marketing strategy. For example, if you may decide to use the highly sensitive data to create personalized offers for top tier customers. It ensures a more targeted and effective campaign. This strategic approach not only protects sensitive info, but also maximizes the impacts of those decisions. All right. Okay. I know I spent a lot of time on this slide. I apologize. Let's move on. All right, let's talk about encryption and secure storage. So, encryption. Imagine you're sending a secret message to a friend, but you're worried somebody else might read it on the way. So, you put the message in a special box that only you and your friend can open because both of you have the right key to open it. Yeah, encryption basically scrambles in the case of encryption, it basically scrambles the message in a way that only the person with the proper key can unscramble it. That's essentially what encryption is in our digital world. That by the way is just an example of sending a message to someone. You could also have encryption in the context of secure storage. For example, when you go into your house, you often lock the doors so random intruders can't get in. That's essentially what secure storage is. It's putting a lock on files. And you could have encryption on there. You could also have passwords. Make the files password protected. Basically, it's best to have multiple layers of protection, and that's basically that's what encryption and secure storage is. It's making sure only the right people can access this confidential information. Now, the next point: authentication and authorization. Now, when you're logging in somewhere, you might have seen the word authentication. Authentication is basically another way of saying login info. When you log into your bank account, uh, you have to, type in the correct login information. Otherwise, you're not going to get in. Authorization is basically what permissions you have while you're logged in. Now, in the context of a company, for example, not all employees should have access to financial data. That making sure the right people have the right amount of access that they should have to certain things. That's crucial. These are called access controls, and they're usually set by the system administrator or someone in that role. That's essentially what this is. And the last point, regularly auditing and monitoring data access. Uh, this is like having a security camera in a secret vault, for example, keeping a watchful eye on who enters and who exits. Regular audits allow us to track who accessed the data, when they did it, and what they did with it. And what and let's say, for instance, we notice an unusual pattern during an audit. Perhaps an employee was accessing sensitive info at an odd hour when that employee should not have been working. That prompts us to investigate further and ensures that any potential security concerns are addressed appropriately. Okay, awareness of privacy laws and regulations. It's a good idea to be informed about especially local privacy laws. For example, here in Alberta, we have something called the Personal Information Protection Act, PIPA. This act it defines a lot of things. For example, it defines what personal information is. It talks about how you need explicit informed consent before collecting or using data, and how that data can only be used for legitimate purposes. You can't have a black market where you sell this information to the highest bidder. Uh, Anyways, that's an example of a law that you really should be aware of. And it also talks about how every organization should have policies and procedures in place surrounding privacy. So your own company should have detailed policies in place regarding information collection, data, how to protect it, and things like that. So be aware of that, especially. All right.